We were just talking in one of our chronicles about betrayal, and we gave snippets of our history from the time the Spaniards came to colonize us all the way until the present day political horizon that we have. But then again, we also speak of two important elements that have governed our lives in a way, elements that we consider as important for us to understand exactly where we're going. Where did we come from? What is our situation today? And where are we going? Oh, by the way, I'm summarizing the three questions that would have been asked if you wanted to be a member of the revolutionary movement of the Katipunan during the time of Andres Bonifacio. There were three questions that were asked for all of those who wanted to sign in. They signed with their blood, and they had to answer three questions. First question was, what was the condition of our country in the past? The second question, what is the condition of our country today? And the third question is, what will be the condition of our country in the future? So that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Maybe we should ask the same questions today and find out, are we joining a revolution to change ourselves, or are we enjoying the liberties and the freedoms that our heroes and many of our revolutionaries of the past were able to obtain for us? But as I've said, we can only trace back to the short-lived Philippine Revolution. So now we just try to move forward as fast as we can to exactly what is happening in our country, in the political, social, economic landscape that we are experiencing. I don't know if we're enjoying it, but we are experiencing. And these are the travails and also the, well, as would say, the good times and the bad times. But we are able to have a roller coaster ride. Sometimes the episodes are good, sometimes they're not. So this is freedom versus license. With freedom, we have many things that go with it, and one of the most important of the freedom that we have to enjoy is the responsibility. The responsibility that goes with freedom. What does this mean? The responsibility to be self-reliant, the responsibility to be able to stand on our own, the responsibility to be able to work, to be able to be disciplined, to be able to have the values and the character that is needed as far as living as well as a Filipino should live. Those are the freedoms, and that is the kind of freedom that we should have. On the other hand, on the opposite of this, we have the license. That is doing exactly what you want to do without any consideration as to the law or the rules or whatever it is that should guide us to behave properly. And this is, it causes what you call lawlessness, and it is violative of everything that we hold sacred, that is license. Nowadays, we see more often what is license. In other words, we have this kind of attitude, baka pwedeng makalusot, or remedyohan mo na lang, or diskartehan mo. In other words, it is weaving out of what ought to be the responsibilities of freedom. We have to remember this, and we have to be able to internalize this, because when we speak of freedom, we think that we can just do as we please. But that is not the case. Freedom holds responsibilities, and I will repeat this. You have to be disciplined, you have to obey, you have to follow the law. You have to follow what is proper as far as living peacefully and orderly in a community. Because the other side of this, which is considered license, that is what we practice more often. As I've said, if we can be able to do something to get away from the law, if we are able to, pay our way so that we don't get arrested, or that we can talk to somebody we know so that we can get influence and we can get some positions or we can get some favors. That is the license, actually, the other side of the freedom that we ought to enjoy. Remember, self-reliance is one of the biggest responsibilities of freedom. That is how we can protect it. And sometimes we really just go blatantly the way we cry out that, this is my right, you should give me this, etc. But what are we asking for? We're actually asking for license. We want to get away with it. We cannot follow the law. We cannot follow the strictures of being obedient and being disciplined. And so we cry out and say, I don't like to do this because it affects my freedom. You see, we have to be taught this in the early ages of our lives. We have this in the home, for instance, the way babies and infants and children are being taught first how to walk. You can see how it is with mothers, with parents trying to guide their child so that they do not fall, and they allow them sometimes to fall so they will learn how to stand up again. The freedom of movement, of mobility, that begins also in the home. But in many ways after that, and then when we enter the classroom, many things happen already and influence us in such a way that we get into the license part of our lives, and most often that's exactly how we live it. You could see this in the way also we conduct our political system. Who do we elect into office? We have the freedom to choose, but what happens is we are either lazy to look into the qualifications of the people we put into office. The people that run for public office likewise have the license to do as they please. They violate the strictures given by the department that takes care of election, the Commission on Elections, for instance, one constitutional body that tells you you can only spend so much, you can only do this so much, but all of this is violated, of course. And then in the payment of taxes, we also have to follow this. That's the freedom that we are engaging in so that our government and our country could progress, the taxes that we pay. But we hire somebody, a bookkeeper or somebody that could be able to compute our income so that we can, how is this? Makakadaya. We can lessen what we ought to pay. And so it happens in many ways. When you have to do something and it has to follow a certain regulation, we try to take the easy way out. That is the license. We do not perform freedom. We do not we do not do the responsibility of freedom itself. Time and time again, we have tried to emphasize this in many ways, but the classroom is one way of teaching this. The home is where it all begins, and then thereafter, outside of our gates, when we move into the community of people, that's exactly what happens to us. We actually indulge in more license than we do with the responsibility of being free. So let's remember this, because as I've said just a couple of days ago, about a week ago or so, we have had the celebration of our independence, if you call it a celebration, because then we ask the question, what exactly are we celebrating? So what exactly is independence? And that is with the two elements that govern our lives in many ways, freedom and license. And perhaps by now, at a certain age in our, not senility, but in our later years of wisdom, we will begin to realize and understand exactly where we have been able to be reneging as far as our responsibilities are concerned, and where we have been quite abusive.